Hello, dear book dragons. I'm back again, and with all the books I read in October. And I read 6 books in October, which is not very much for me. So I usually read 8 or 9 books, but I was sick, and now I live in a home with a TV. So I usually read a lot when I'm sick, but I was watching Good Witch and until it was over, because I couldn't stop watching. I shouldn't watch TV because I just get stuck. And that's also the reason how I can read so much, because normally I don't. I watch TV like twice a week or something. Anyway, so these are the books that I've read in October. And so the first one is The Magician's Daughter, which I really liked. I gave it 4.8 stars. I don't know why it was very good. And it's a story about a young girl, Biddy, who lives on this magical island, High Brazil, with her guardian, and Rowan, who's a magician. And there are only people living there, and his what's it called, rabbit, who is his familiar. That's the word, his familiar. So the rabbit, I've forgotten his name, but he can turn himself to be human, but he doesn't do it very often. And then he can talk. It's just such a mix of cozy magical island with kind of a dark story. I mean, it is a dark story. She's 16, I think, or 17, so she's quite starting being frustrated. She wants to leave the island, she wants to meet other people, she wants to study. She reads a lot, but he has never let her leave the island at all. And but something happens. Yes, other wizards have, in the beginning of the book, they kind of attacks the island. They find her, they see her, so he decides that they need to leave, and she is going to live undercover at a school where she's going to work as a teacher. It's a complicated story. She's quite angry with him most of the time, but she loves him. She really loves him, and she knows he loves her as well. And all this time at school is shocking for her, because she's only read about these things, like in Jane Eyre and other stuff, and suddenly she lives it for real. And yeah, it's quite shocked of how these young children have it really bad at the school. The food they get is not good. Have really low living standards. This is when is it set? Like early 1900s something. So yeah, she goes to London. She gets to live there. She meets, magical stuff happens, and he gets kidnapped. She has to save him. Yeah, it is dark, but also very sweet and cute at the same time. Interesting mix. So yeah, I think this was really unique, really good. I want to read other books by H.G. Parry. He, I think it's a she. It's written another story about a wizards. A radical act of free magic. Declaration of the Rights of Magicians. Yeah, so I want to read them. And then I borrowed a book from a friend at school. Can't spell treason without T. You see the beautiful end papers are kind of turquoise, dark turquoise. This is cozy fantasy at its best. I also gave this 4.8 stars. It is really cozy, but also action. There is also action, and this is about guard at a castle with a real, not very good queen's guardian, Reina, and Cant, who is like the mage of the ages. She's the most powerful mage in their role. There is a map in the beginning of the book. Oh, there's also a picture. And yeah, so you get to see a map of this world where, yeah, so Reina lives in the queendom. It's just called the queendom. And Cant, she lives at the magicary, and she's has to help everyone in these island countries. And they meet at the castle, and they instantly are attracted to each other. But they're also very different people, so it takes quite a lot of courage from them both to leave the queendom and live together. And you can't just leave the queen. That's treason. You can't give up your job. So she has to sneak away. And their dream together is to have like a tea shop, a book and tea shop, and that's what they create in this little town, which is on the borders of different countries, so it didn't really belong to one country. But there's a bit of a problem there with dragons. So it's like half the story is this cozy building this bookshop, tea shop, and also the mystery of the dragons and why they keep coming and destroying stuff. So it's a mix of cozy and action. So yeah, I really recommend this. And later on I read the second book because I just had to read the second book, so that one I bought. And then I read The Last Unicorn by Peter S. Beagle, which I started maybe a year ago, so I only had half of the book left. I didn't reread it, and I think I read the half in just one day actually. It's a lovely book. I also gave it 4.8 stars. Maybe if I read it and read it all in one go, I'd probably give it 5 stars. It's very poetical. It's like a fairy tale. Not so dark, but also just fantastical. There's a film, so I would like to see that. Interesting to see how they made that. So this is about a unicorn and a magician and a young, well, no, she's not young, middle-aged woman. And this last unicorn wants to find the other unicorns. She's been on her own for ages and ages. And most people can't even see that she is a unicorn. Only some people can actually see that she is a unicorn. And I think in the beginning she's kind of, after she's left her sacred place, she's kidnapped by a witch, and this wizard saves her. Yeah, it's like, and they go on a quest, you could say. They have to find this red bull who's destroyed all the other unicorns. Oh, yeah, so it's also dark, but also just beautiful. Yeah. So read this. I recommend all these books. And then I read the Kamogawa Food Detectives. As you can see, it's a very short book, so I finished that in probably just 2 days. It's kind of repetitive. This is a book about a family. A man and his daughter has this restaurant together, which is a restaurant in hiding, kind of. If you don't know it's there, you wouldn't see it. And the people come to them to find food they really love but forgotten about how to do it, or how, secret recipes. So the father of his family, he is the chef, but he also goes away to find the person or people who made this recipe from the beginning. So this is very nostalgic, I would say. It's very sweet, but as I said, it's kind of a repetitive story, and you get hungry reading this. So it's a Japanese bestseller. You could probably think, oh, this is a cat Japanese book, but the cat in this book doesn't really have a big space. So, warning, this is not a cat book. They just mention her now and then. So this is cute. I gave it 4.5 stars. Maybe now I would give 4 stars. I felt there could have been more descriptions about how because he kind of tells afterwards how he did it. It would be interesting to just see while he does it, while he's traveling, to talk with his people. Yeah, it could have been a thicker book. It could have been more about, not just tell the person, oh, this is how I did it, but more actually be there when he's finding the recipe. So that was that one. And then I read The Vanished Days by Susanna Kingsley. And this is the third book I read by her. And this is different from her other books, because this is only set in this 1700s. It's set 17, let's see. Well, late 1660s, well, early, sorry, 1707 it starts. And it's, even if it's not set in our time, it's actually, you could say it's 2 times in this period, because the person telling this story, he's a young man who been brought up in New York, but he's back in Scotland, where his family hails from, and he visits his old captain, I think it is, who's not there, but his wife invites him to stay with them anyway, which her servant doesn't like at all. He's very grumpy throughout the whole story. Anyway, and this, yeah, so he gets to stay there, and he gets sick, so he has to stay quite a while. And then one day they get this, his captain, who isn't there, still not there, he's still away, gets this assignment. There was a lot of Scottish people who left for Darien, who was, which didn't know anything about this, very interesting, Scottish colony in Panama. And apparently the English king, or the king of Great Britain at that time, because the Scottish king wasn't around, gave money to people, family of people who had died, who's gone to Darien. Yes, but of course you had to ask for them. And the man in the story gets this assignment to see if one of these quests are true. I mean, because you can't just give money to everyone who asks for it, you have to see if their claim is true. So that's kind of the story. And then you get to follow this young woman, Lily. And when they start to interview her, you get to see her childhood. The story is really about her. The story is her life from early age, when she was a friend with a kind of young, the grandchild to Patrick Gramey, the 5th Laird of Inchbaliki. So they come from 2 different worlds, because she doesn't have any ancestry in that way, and they are friends through whole life. And she comes with this paper that they were married, and he died then during this Darian. And yeah, so that's the story about him investigating if she actually was married to him. So it's kind of a bit of a detective story, but also a love story. But it's yeah, it's quite a dark story because she gets to live with several different people, and she gets really used by a man when she's really young. When I read that, I was so shocked, and also realized how realistic that could be, which of course makes you really sad. So it's not as sweet as her other books. I mean, they are also realistic, but they're also very romantic. This is not as romantic because, yeah, I can't talk too much about that because it would spoil things. I still really recommend it, of course. I give it 4.5 stars. It really gives you an insight how it could be to live in those times and not being an important person. And the narrator, he can see both sides. Yeah. I'm not going to talk too much about this book. It's quite complicated. I was sometimes quite confused because I don't know the history of Scotland that well. It's like, oh, which king? Is this the same king as in the other book? Because there's the same name. So, King James. And yeah, this it's different. It's good, but I have hoped to have it a bit more romantic. So I will go back to her other books, and I think they will be more light-hearted. So, and this took me ages to read because I was sick when I was reading this, and even when I really got into it while reading it, when I didn't read it, it could take some time before I read it again. Yeah. And the last book I read was A Pie's Life of Tea. So that was the second book after Can't Spell Treason Without Tea. So this is a continuing about Cant and Reyna and their adventures looking for dragon eggs. And there are actually very little tea drinking in this book, so I would say, yeah, it is a bit of a lie. It's not A Pie's Life for tea, it's more maybe A Pie's Life for wine. Because they do. I can't drink wine because she's a mage, but Reyna does. It's really cute. It's fun. And there is a third book coming out in spring. And this had orange end papers, so it was very good for reading around Halloween. And you get to meet a lot of new people in this book because they travel to another area to find these dragon eggs, and they meet Serena and Bobby. And Bobby is she's a constable, and Serena is a pirate, which is a problem because they are really good friends. They are probably in love, and yeah. So Reyna and Cant really tries them to see their other person's side, and the real villain here is of course not Serena, but they have something called the Dion, who kind of decides in the area, and it's a really big area, and he owns everything, and he takes a lot of taxes. So that's why Serena has turned pirate, so people can survive and live and eat. So she's not a bad person. Yeah, I really like this. I give it 4.5 stars, so a little bit lower actually than the first one. But stars doesn't really matter, does it? So yeah, those were the books I read in October, and yesterday I started reading Bewitched, which I really like, so I'll talk about that later in my November video. So have a good November. I hope you read some really good books. Please tell me what you read in October and what you liked best. Bye!